Oh, Janelle, I have never had the feeling, Janelle, you're a expert writer. I have never had that notion about myself at all. And so that's been one of my frustrations when creating content. You need so much content, right, to do this. And this chat, the AI has been remarkable. And I know part of it is really mastering the prompt, getting that prompt right.
Asking the questions right. Once
Yeah.
you do that, you get some amazing responses.
Amazing. Like I threw in the wording, I want the limbrick, right in using the limbrick system, and a few other, thises and that's around what I do. But that was key. When I use that language and I said, and these are the things that I'm wanting to move them towards.
Yeah.
It did a great job. I was really excited. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
There you go. Got Janelle in here with me. We're just talking about Chat GPT and how to creatively use the AI, the prompt. One of the things I've been doing with it is looking at or asking it to tell me about how do you identify, measure, and gain access to the top 1% of any field. And so I put the link to the responses I've gotten into our Facebook group page. And I also put the photo of our medallion on the Facebook page. Hello, Robin. Welcome aboard. Glad you could make it.
You call it limbic or limbrick? How do you say that word? I feel like I'm saying it incorrectly.
Well, what's the meaning?
It's the emotional, writing in an emotionally persuasive manner.
Okay. Addressing the limbic system?
Limbic. Yeah, I didn't think I said that right. Limbic. Yeah.
Well, hey, Robin Kriesman.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Good to be here, though.
What's up with you?
Well, same old, same old.
Yeah, same old, same old. Been in Dallas.
Same old.
Cool things.
Trying to get this new speech kicked off. So
good.
That's been my focus right now. I got some questions for you later, but
I want to get some brief updates from everybody. I mentioned a few of the things in my notice to you by email, but Janelle, why don't you start us off? What have you done recently that's kind of things are starting to work, and then we can be thinking about that as we help you grow.
Okay.
Da 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 da.
Go for it.
All right. So I mentioned, I think earlier in an email to you, Jim, but for the group, I was doing a campaign for research because I wanted to know what language is my audience using, and where are they searching for that language, and which group aren't just searching for it, but which are ready to buy. Are they YouTubers? Are they Facebookers? Are they Instagrammers? Who are they? At what age group? Because I had in my head what I thought was who my audience was, but I wanted to know who are they for reals. And so wrapping up that research and discovered some surprises and some not so surprising. So people watch my videos all the way through. So my video content is good.
How long?
What's that?
How long are they?
I did an opt-in type thing that funneled them down into a mastermind, and they are under 3 minutes. They're just slightly under 3 minutes. Yeah. And then that funneled them into a free webinar where I am talking specifically about, there was 3 search options. You could be looking for happiness and fulfillment. You could be looking for your purpose work, or you could be wanting to connect to your intuitive gifts. How do I develop this? What's that look like? So I did 3 opt-in videos.
Now, and who were you reaching out to? What was the audience that you made that sound in the middle of?
Okay, I gotta remember, hang on, 45 to 65, and I did men and women, and to just see what.
Those are good options, by the way.
Okay, okay, good, and so.
I'm joking, sorry. Go ahead.
So 80% of the watchers were men, but
Mhm.
women were the
Wow.
ones. I know, I didn't expect, that was the surpriser. I didn't expect that. I really was thinking I would be targeting women, but
Yeah.
I went 80%, well, between 75 and 80. So yeah, it was really high, but the women were the ones that took action. Of the ones that opted in, only 2%, 3%, it was pretty low, were men, and the rest were women. And they were of the ages of the 45-year-old group were one of the big action takers, and it jumped a group, and then it was in the 60-65 was the next action takers.
Mhm.
So I thought that was interesting too. So the thing it did that I didn't get as much of it that I would like was they watched my videos all the way through, but they didn't click. The percent of clicks onto to get the free webinar weren't as high as I would have liked to see. So somewhere in there, I have a stop.
What was the number or percentage?
It was fairly low. So hang on, I got to remember. It's been a week since I looked at that data. It was, yeah, it was low. It was like 10%.
10%, I would think that would be high. What do you think, Michelle? She's got an offer out there. She's getting people clicking through and watching a 3-minute video, but then the 10% of those are converting to the free webinar. I would think that's a darn good percentage. Would you?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good as well.
Is it
Average, I
decent?
think it's
Okay.
around 2%. Yeah.
Yeah. So the averages, Janelle, are typically, 1.5%, 2.5% is a expected percentile on responding to bulk mails and other, emails and outreaches to a targeted audience. And that's even if the audience is pretty clear, as opposed
Okay.
to, say, a billboard on the side of a highway, which you'd expect 1,000th of 1 millionth of 1%, to actually call. But back in the days of direct mail, when everything was, through the mailbox, if you got 1.5%, you were doing a happy dance.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if you're getting 10%, then that means you've targeted the group you're communicating with really well, and that your message is probably pretty tight as to their needs and interests. How many messages did you send out?
Messages being, I don't know what you mean by.
Did you do an emailing, or was this online posting like Facebook?
This was ads. This was Facebook ads.
Okay.
I got put in Facebook prison for it, so my ads are frozen until I get out of Facebook jail.
Yeah,
Welcome
What's
to the
the
club.
sure.
What are you selling exactly, Janelle? What is the product?
My product
missed it.
is intuitive development. Intuition gift development is one of the pieces. That's what I'm pushing advertising. That's what I'm advertising right now. We also do
Personal counseling to help people like that. Yeah.
I see.
So
Cool.
block removal is another piece. What's blocking me? Okay, let's get to the root of that and discuss that. Yes, but I'm really highlighting right now the intuitive gift development.
I think 10% is awesome.
Yeah. So you got 80% of your respondents being male, but the females were the ones that were converting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that gives you an
Which should tell you
opportunity with the males to have a different kind of a hook that's going to engage them. So there's something
What would be
they're
different?
there.
Eh?
See, it's kind of like, think of it this way. You decide, you and Brian say, hey, we're going to start a new business selling fur-covered mouse pads. for computers, all right? And you work out everything and you spend a few $1,000s creating these fur-covered mouse pads, and you make sure that they work, and you've got them field tested by dozens of people, and you're ready to launch in the marketplace. And you spend another $10,000 doing all the things that are required for that. And the big day comes, kaboom! We are available for purchase. Here they are. Aren't they cute? Get yours before the supplies run out. Okay. If anybody responds to that, even if it's a little child that says, oh, I thought it was Teddy. I thought I was going to buy a mouse. I'm sorry. I'm not interested. Wait a minute. All of your thousands of dollars in time and energy have just paid off a little bit. That child may not be your prospect, but that child has opened the door and shown you that something's getting through, right? Mm-hmm. Find a way to get from that child to an adult and go from there. In your case, it's the males responding. Well, that was interesting. Enjoyed that. I'm done. Okay, what would cause them not to be done? What's their interest that's not her interest? And so think through that little process, and you may find that you've got some business already. It's like customers wandering into your store and they say, oh, I thought you were selling something else. Well, wait a minute. What do you buy? What do you normally buy? I might be able to stock that. Because your advertising just paid off. It just didn't pay off fully.
Right.
A lot of times I find the difference between male and female is an emotional side versus pragmatic, practical side.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
maybe the messaging are the, I don't know how well it's produced, if there's music underneath there or, language, whatever, that might be directed more to a female's heart than a male mindset. So there's something to look at there probably too.
Yeah.
Give me an example. Help me see an example of what would be like the emotional response I'm getting, but give me some pragmatic, give me some examples of what could that look like? What could that sound like? What does it feel like?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
When you think about getting unblocked, for a man, getting unblocked is not the same experience as it is for a woman, typically. I mean, sometimes it is, but looking at it strictly from a gender perspective, a man's kind of like the reason for existence is to solve problems and do things, right?
Okay.
So you tell a man, hey, my cabinet's stuck. Hey, let me give you a hand with that, right? I mean, they're immediately engaged. There's a problem to solve. There's a goal to achieve. There's a woolly mammoth to kill. There's something to do, right? And so they're very doing oriented, whereas the women tend to be more relationship based and more feeling oriented. And so they're nurturers, they're caregivers, they take care of things that way. Whereas the man will say, okay, pain, blood, yeah, I'll do that for you. Let's get it done. And just look for a way to get them more clear on what their needs are, thinking from that perspective.
Yeah, it's the problem needs to be, I get it. The problem needs to be it's very clear. Like just,
Yeah.
This is the problem. And when that strikes iron. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, one of the things I take pride in my own life, my marriage, is I never have a honey-do list. Never. There are thousands of things to do around the house in the course of a year, but I never have a honey-do list. Honey-do list being.
So Paula does everything. That's amazing.
No, thank you. But just to clarify what a honey-do list is, it's clean up the garage, get the tire pressure fixed in the car. Hi, Sandy. It's a list of things to do around the house, right? That's a honey-do list. And I don't have one. Why do I not have one? Because in 1974, I decided to embrace W. Clement Stone's philosophy, do it now. So I can be sitting here typing an article, creating something new, working on it. And Paula says, "Hey, Jim, when you get a chance, the light is out. It is burned out in the kitchen." And I stop everything. I go in there and I replace the light bulb. And I'm back at my desk. Life is good and God's great and beer's delicious. And Paula's thinking, well, you didn't have to do that. No, I didn't have to do that. If I had, it would have felt like obligation. It was simply a need, and I filled the need. So she never has to worry about that. I never leave a mess. It's just some things about me that are unique to me. And it's all task related, those things. So when you're looking,
you put regular men in really bad situations, dude.
Yeah,
I can just
I do. Yeah, even my garage is neat enough, that most guys would be bothered by that. Hey, Jim, we need to unpack
Janell.
some of those boxes and just dump them on the floor. Yes, Lisa.
Janelle, my question is, what was the makeup of men versus women? Because women drive 70 to 80% of all purchases, 70 to 80%. So what was what was it? 50-50 men, women? What was the makeup? Because I found that really interesting that more men clicked on.
And for Sandy's benefit, we're talking with Janelle about a Facebook ad she placed that got a good response. 80% of them were men, but the women, the 20%, clicked through for her free webinar and the men didn't. And so I was saying that you've got an opportunity left on the table with that 80% male, and we were exploring how to engage them.
Yeah. So Sandy, you're saying what percent? I don't know.
Lisa.
Keep going with your question. I don't have a picture yet.
It was-
Lisa, sorry. Lisa.
The total makeup, was it 100 people and 50 were men and 50 were women, or was it how was it skewed, I guess is my question, because I just found that interesting.
Yeah, so 80%, let's see. So daily we had around 2,800 engagements, ran it for 7 days.
Wow.
And 70 to 80% of them were men.
Okay. So you get 2,800 people watching your 3-minute video.
Daily, yeah, for 7 days.
Daily.
Yeah, and it fluctuated, but yeah, that's a problem.
That is awesome.
That's great. Yeah, I thought it was good. I was really pumped. I did not know what to expect. It was my first launch. Now I got to get out of Facebook prison so we can go back to work. And then we did.
Let me ask you this, Janelle.
Yeah.
What was the difference between the physical ad, the copy, and the mindset and the direction of what you were saying and asking in the ad compared to the content and perspective that was in the actual video? Was it consistent? Was it congruent, or was there a different flavor and change to in the messaging and the approach?
Yeah, I got your question. I get you. So I used the same background, number one. So the look would stay the same. I stayed in this, what you guys see here. I had themes. I had my 3 different opt-in themes because I was also fishing for themes. That video, that clip. So I built the webinar first. And I took all 3 themes. I took the purposeful living, happiness and fulfillment, and intuitive gifts, and what's that look like. And I tied it all together, and I made 3. I kept like intuitive gifts and how does this look and how blah, 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 blah. And I recorded that. And then I recorded purposeful, and I put it all together as a webinar. But if you came to me through the purpose, I want to live purposefully. I want to get purpose. I want to live in my purpose work, however you would have termed it. And that was what brought you into the funnel. Then you would have got the purpose talk first. And then these other 2 would follow, because each of these, if I'm going to live purposefully, I need to be connected to my intuitive self. If I'm going to really, how do I live happy? And they all tie together and they all work together. But the reason and how you got to me, that's what you got first. So that you said, I want to talk, and then you're hearing that right off. And then in the other 2, I'm tying it all together. And I put some open loops in there. So it's like in the purpose, it's like, but if you want to be purposeful, you're also looking for happiness, aren't you? Because we're going to talk about that later in this series, so that they're looking for happiness. Well, how do you get happy? How do you really know who you are and how to live that way? So I would put that open loop in there so it wouldn't be these dangling participles, if you will. At the end of the video, they would be open looping coming around into that. That's how I built it. And then after I built that, I did my 3-minute talk because I knew what I already said and I wanted it to sound the same, or at least,
Mhm.
that's what
Did you use getting unblocked as a part of the terminology in your ad?
No, in the ad itself, no. In the webinar, yes.
Uh-huh.
Because getting unblocked is just part of all that.
I tell you, you're on to something if you're getting 2,800 people daily engaged. Man, I mean, that when
That's
it
huge.
starts to scale, gets huge fast. You know, you get that many people talking to you every day and are listening to you every day, whatever. The number of opportunities for conversions, and you increase that percentage, you become a very wealthy woman.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so don't deflate the win that you've got and think of it as being less because it was only 10%, which the Fortune 500 would kill for.
Okay. Now we just have to convert 10% now into paying clients, because we got a few paying clients out of that, but just a very, very low percent, which I'm grateful for. I'm not going to put that down either. But now it's like, okay, now do they just need to hear more of me? Do I send them? How do I follow up with that group? I did get, there's a terminology, you guys, you'll have to forgive me. There's a link of some kind that you can attach to things that let you know who engaged, so you can follow up with them specifically. I can't remember what that's called. It's some sort of tracking
Yeah.
thing.
I don't know offhand either. My initial thought on what do you do next is send them a report that is a self-assessment tool.
Okay.
Them to identify through exercises what their real situation and or needs are. You'll notice if you've looked recently at our group Facebook page, I posted a bunch of archaic documents from 1974 on there. It was my own exercises in a seminar called Adventures in Attitudes. Notice this one, Janelle.
Oh, yeah.
Determining purpose. August 1974. This was what? This is about the meaning of life. August 1974. I was
Wow.
28. I think, yeah, that's about right. I was born in 46. So I said, my purpose in life is to affect other lives in a way that will make them more aware of their potential and make them more honest and considerate in dealing with others. It will make this world a better place to live in, gain them respect, and cause people to care more about people. This may be a bit vague, but it's an area I'd love to pursue. If I can stay in a position to lead, guide, or counsel others, I can accomplish this goal. On the next page of this seminar, that exercise, it said, what's your immediate first goal? I said, get a job. So if I were writing my purpose statement today, it wouldn't vary 10 words off of what I wrote back then. So somewhere deep inside, like I say in my TED Talk, we know what kind of person we're destined to be. And when someone like Janell presents us with exercises and guides us through those to help define them, then we identify our path, and all our other decisions can be made to get us back onto that path more fully. And I think that's one of the great benefits of what all of us are doing. Like today, I was going through Sandy Go's memorable marketing promotion, and she has the 10 best, or 10 greatest, 10 what?
Best marketing campaigns.
Yeah, 10 best marketing campaigns. And it's Nike and, and all these other big names, Coca-Cola and so forth. And each one of those, you can track it through and watch the video of that ad campaign. And it's really fascinating to see. And then Sandy, of course, as a marketing specialist, is saying, here's what made it work. Here's what was unique about that. And here's what you need to think about if you're going to do something like this. And so it gives her a course that she teaches in 10 slides with each link to a video. And of course, people are going to be engaged because it's like, watching YouTube videos of your favorite band. It's super familiar, and yet at the same time, it's teaching you something. And, that's super cool. But I'll bet, Sandy, if you track yourself back over the years, the thing you're seeking to do with memorable marketing today is probably the thing you were secretly or maybe even openly seeking to do 20, 30 years ago. Well,
Yeah.
38 years ago when you and Gino got married. Happy anniversary.
You saw that post?
I did.
Yeah. Yes. On my Facebook page, I posted the most funniest picture at our wedding. You always, a bride plans the perfect everything. And we had streamers, and everyone was supposed to throw it, and it's supposed to fall gracefully over us as we come out of the church. And there's a picture of just like wads of all these pieces of paper, and it's just not working right, but the action picture is great. Anyway, and that's a memorable moment, right? If it was perfect, it wouldn't be memorable.
That's funny. Janelle, were you talking about what do you do next right now as far as your follow-up from this ad?
Yeah.
Do you have the Facebook? This is on Facebook, I'm thinking. It's your
Facebook and
the ads?
YouTube.
Okay. Do you have the pixels that give you the demographic, the analytics of who came attached? So you know who actually has responded and watched the videos.
I don't know who. Do I know who they are specifically? I don't recall. I know age, gender, location in the world.
You've got the analytics, yeah.
A lot of things that I know that work well for people when they are on Facebook and they actually have submitted something through their page or their profile, not so much an ad, but they have places where they can comment. If you have comments from the ad, then I would direct message all of those people that had a positive response.
Yeah.
And say, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. How can I help you? Which one of the three elements did you find most compelling? What would be your two best questions? Something like that. Second, I would go to anybody that has gone through the program so far or that you have testimonials from and start posting those following that. So you're getting some verification that this is working, validation, I guess I should say better. And then come back with a what if type thing. What if I were to develop da 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 da? How many of you would be interested in doing this?
Yeah. I think,
And then have them respond.
I think you're spot on. And I would say in the first communication with them, Janelle, do a survey, like a three question survey, and let them feel like they're voting on something that they're going to see the result of.
Okay.
And so maybe even 5 questions, but make them short and simple. So I was thinking you might take your 3 categories and have them rank them, but make it a little bit meatier than that. And so give them a easy task they can quickly do that gives you a starting point for adding more value to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, each one of those questions or those tasks need to be super, super easy and not feel weird. Something they can respond to real easily. And the direct mail from you, or the direct message from you, that would go but just between you and them. That wouldn't go back out to the full group. It's a private message basically,
Yeah.
Okay.
and that's just really instills engagement from them for them to follow up with you.
Okay, so something like, it was a privilege to have you join our webinar. Yeah.
What did you find most compelling, and which one of the areas were you wanted to focus on? And do you have any questions
I would
specifically?
get really quickly to the engagement. Don't spend much time in that sentence. Really great to have you in the webinar. Just show your pleasure at having them in the webinar within 3 or 4 words, and then get on to what it's about.
Go for it. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you find most compelling?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then give them multiple choice. So don't ask them to think up any words.
Okay.
Make it really easy. Okay.
Okay, multiple choice. And then what if I were to design a program specifically around your interests? Would something like that?
Yeah.
How would you?
Or better yet, what if I isolated the parts of my program or my training or my whatever parts of my program that specifically relate to that? Would you, then go from there? Okay.
Okay.
Helpful stuff.
Yes, very.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Well, let me switch to the
Thank-
smile on the left of my screen, Lisa Marie. Okay. Hey, Red. You today.
Yes. So April and May were really, really busy. And I did a full day seminar in April, a full day seminar in May. And when I say full day, 9 to 4. And then both times in April and May, I actually had talks to give on legacy, my kind of keynote talk. But what's interesting is I found that while my first choice is to give a workshop, a training workshop, or second, give my legacy talk, I have received more than I even put out there of individual people to coach. And well, and I think the thing is, because you told me once, just the fact that you're in front of the room, kind of, I don't remember your exact words, gives you a degree of credibility with people.
Well, it makes you the de facto expert. When you're in the front of the room, you're in the position of teacher, preacher, parent, leader, sergeant, whatever. You are, the fact that you're in the front of the room and everybody's looking at you instead of each other gives you a physical validation of your authority that carries a psychological weight correspondingly. Doesn't necessarily mean you're qualified to be up there, but the presumption is that you are, and then you prove it.
Well, first of all, I'm qualified to be up
Yes,
there.
you are. Yes.
And second of all, I don't ever put myself in the state of mind that I'm here to prove something. I always put myself in the state of mind, I have something that I would like to share with you, and I hope that it will be beneficial, if not to the majority of you, at least one person here I'm believing that the Lord sent to hear the message.
Yeah.
But
So I'm
what's
here to serve. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm here to
absolutely.
bring value. And that just comes out of every pore of you anyway.
Well, thank you. And the thing is, I have also learned that while I focus so much on the process of, am I doing each little step, when I just backed away and started networking again, when things opened up, going to these chamber and going to these networking events. But it's crazy because what I'm looking for is I'm looking for another Herbalife or another, full day presentation.
Mega client. Yeah.
Yeah. and it's not exactly what's coming. And then I'm rethinking my value because I'm realizing what my one little package, is 3 90-minute sessions on your personal growth and development and going through the wheel of life, and then 2 45-minute coaching. That's a lot of time and everything. And when I look at it again and look at what I'm charging, I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah, you could
I'm
have
just-
yourself making $16 an hour if you're not careful. Yeah.
but definitely a learning experience. And I don't know, like I said, I can't plan it. It's just not anything that I can plan. I will tell you one good tool that I have used, and I think, or I'm not even sure, is you had suggested that Talkadot. I think I'm saying it
Love
right.
Talkadot.
Yeah. And I've used it 3 times now, and I have been pleasantly happy with my results. And now I'm not somebody who's going to go put it on Facebook, but in trying to solicit some more, business, I said last month, I presented this at a career ministry or this church or whatever it might be. And these were the results. If, you want to take a look. So I'm happy with myself that I'm actually using new tools like that. Because before I was resistant, but I will tell you this, anybody that's interested in it, I have personally found a gentleman at the company who will return a live phone call and walk me through the steps of
Yep.
how to create my slide, how to create my results. And
Wow.
His name's Errol, A-R-E-L, right?
his name is Mike, M-I-K-E,
Oh,
Mike.
Mike.
Errol's, he's one of the founders. I've never
Yeah.
spoken to him, but
I
Mike,
have. And he's the same way. He takes time. Let me share my screen for just a second. I'll show you something. See this? This is the slide that I used in my recent presentations to get feedback. And talk.ac/my name is the access code. And, Talkadot, you go to talk.ac.com probably, and that'll get you to them for your own. And this is free. You can get a paid version, but the basic version of it's free. And you go in and you put in whatever offer you want and whatever questions you want. And it's like 2 or 3 quick questions. And you tell the audience, hey, here's the code, scan this. When it gives you a screen, type in the word speaker, and or you can make up any word you want, acorn, or, make up your own word. And
like mine is legacy, because my talk
Okay.
is on legacy.
so
Yeah.
they type that in, and then they answer the 2 or 3 questions, like multiple choice or a quick word or 2. And then it says, do you want to leave any comments for Lisa? And they say, well, yeah, I think you're the most wonderful person that's ever touched the face of the earth. Thank you for being here and blessing my life. Have a nice day. Okay, so they do that. And all of this is recorded at once as a group. And the report comes back in a quick little slide summary to Lisa. And it's
1 page.
97% of the audience responded. The number was, X people out of Y attendance. And here's what they said. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dot.
Yep.
Cool. How can we help you most?
So I think for me right now, I've got a lot on my plate, and I'm getting ready to travel for my other business for the first two weeks. But then when I come back, I would like to find a way, because I've tried a lot of things, to focus on more businesses as opposed to individuals. Now, let me
B2B instead of
let me,
B2C.
let me clarify that. It's not that I'm not enjoying working with these. It's given me a new learning experience in that. Let me relook at this, because I didn't realize this many people, if they knew that I had a, coaching here, because that's where my love lies. That's where I believe I shine. I believe it is in getting the group up and interactive in a workshop and things like that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So, and right now my networking has gone back to, since COVID, it's things have opened up, targeting networking events, chamber meetings and things like that, and going and asking for business cards and meeting people and letting them know what I do. Absolutely.
Quick suggestion. When you're doing your presentations, say one of the things, and just tell the audience what you just told us, say one of the things that surprised me when I started doing more workshops recently is the number of people that have been responding with interest in my personal coaching. And that's something I love to do, absolutely love to do it. But I have to be careful because I can overbook myself doing lots of personal coaching and not enough training to reach multiples of people. So what I'm doing now is I'm offering my coaching in a package to businesses where I'll do 5 coaching sessions and they can use them all 5 for one person, or they can use one each for 5 of their executive team, or they can use it only for their salespeople, or their customer service people, or their human resources people, or their nurses, or their but anyway, I do that now, and it allows me to be more targeted in the way that I can help organizations. So thank you for your interest if you're one of those folks. And I look forward to working with all of you in more in-depth ways. And then you go back to your presentation. Any comments on that, observations?
Well, I have one. I love that idea. And not last week, but the week before, this is crazy. I was passing this building and the building said on it, WELL with a big W, and the W was flipped, Mind, MIND. It's a beautiful building. And I thought, wonder what Well Mind is all about. And fast forward, my yoga teacher is changing locations to that building. And I walk in the building and she's talking to this man, and he turns around and said, Lisa, what are you doing here? He's on the board with me at St. Jude. His name is Scott. His mother was actually Danny Thomas's secretary when she was alive. And so I quickly put together a proposal.
Hey, you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you hear the part about the guy that's actually?
You said I put together a proposal.
I put together a proposal because they are working with people during COVID. He and his partner that created this Well Mind to help people through mental illness issues.
Yeah.
There's 2 psychologists on staff. And I said, well, listen, after you get through all this medical stuff, just remember that it all starts with a mindset and taking control of yourself and your life, and possibly working through the 7 spokes on the wheel of life. And so here's this program I have, and you're not going to believe it. I just doubled the price.
Good for you. Good
and
for
you know what,
because
Jim? I
the
just
value's
doubled.
there.
But you know what? When I did it out, the 3 90-minute segments, the 2 45-minute coaching calls after the 3 sessions,
Yep.
it still doesn't even come to the hourly rate that Tom Ziegler likes to see. It almost does. It almost does. Likes to see us get. And so now I'm really proud of myself, but it's almost like, okay, go find another one of those, because
Sure.
but I don't know, because you know, a couple of months ago, I told you I'd been called back twice to Herbalife, and now they're down in sales, and that's not going to go anywhere. So it's crazy how this business is. You know, you get up and you do this proposal and you're like, oh, this is good, but don't think about it too much. Get on to the next thing, you know. So I'm experiencing that right now. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
By the way, anybody that tells you we're down in sales and now's not a good time, say, well, when companies are down in sales, they're down in sales because of the performance of certain individuals. And that being down is usually not the result of a talent that's missing. It's a mindset that's wrong. And that's what I specialize in. So let's do something inexpensive for you let's isolate 5 people that I could work with for a short period of time and see if we can't turn this around. So there's your assignment, you know, and anytime somebody starts poor mouthing about their current circumstances, so that's a reflection of mindset more than it is skill set. Because if those same people were producing before and they're not now, the way their thinking has shifted, I can help get them back. I have a simple starter program, just 5 sessions, price it wherever you feel it should be priced and go for that. Let me switch to some other folks because I've got Sandy
Thank-
here and Robin both, and I want to be sure and get to each of them. Sandy, we talked about yours a little bit.
Uh-huh.
What do you need from us? How can we help you most right now?
I think it's feedback. I'm putting together a basic coaching from, improving their profile and then improving their visuals and then using live events
Yep.
and I'm calling them joint venture, not JV. Joint venture events are very effective in making warm connections and profitable connections. And so I want to put together courses to help people through that. I just have an attorney that just signed up with me. She is taking over her dad's business in September. She
Mhm.
has nothing in place for marketing. She's never used a planner. And so it's like, oh, this is a great
Well,
person to work with.
let me throw something in real fast. I've worked with attorneys groups before, and I'm not an attorney, and I started studying law back in the 70s. And as I got into it, I thought, this is fascinating and I could get a law degree, I guess, but I wouldn't want to use it. So, what in the world am I doing? And I went a different direction. But I was hired years later by I think it was the California Bar Association. And they brought me in to do a seminar on marketing for legal professionals.
Hmm.
And the thing about it is lawyers typically, and same thing tends to be true of doctors and accountants, think of marketing as a slimy thing. It's not as slimy as selling, because selling is a sin and people should be killed for doing it in their minds, but marketing is almost as nasty. It's like they watch porn, but they don't go to brothels, so they still don't like the idea, right? So for them, I had to approach this very gingerly. And I had to say, when I opened my presentation, a lot of them were kind of standoffish and just sitting there. All right, let's get this over with because there's a more interesting program coming up as soon as he's done. And I said, I don't remember what I said, but I remember how I said it. I came out and I said something to the effect, how many of you feel like marketing, it requires you to lower your standard of thinking? And they just, they reflected. They didn't really respond to me. And I said, marketing seems to be contrary to and sort of go against the grain of being a professional. And so let me look up the technical definition of a professional. Someone who's highly educated for what they do. Check. Someone whose education never ends. Check. Someone who does what they do as a service to other people. Check. It's done according to a set of ethical standards. Check. It's done for pay. Check. Okay, how do you get other people to be willing to pay? First, you got to make them aware that you exist.
Mm.
You got to make them aware of the value they can get from interacting with you. Then you've got to engage them in dialogue and get them to commit to paying your fee for your services. They call that marketing. And
Exactly. Yep.
And selling's where marketing goes to the commitment phase. But let's just talk about marketing. Well, marketing thinking is something all of you should become good at, whether you're doing it yourself or not. If you understand the thinking of it, you can direct it in the ways that you want it to go and retain your professional posture and feel like you're doing what you do with dignity. Are we on the same page? Yes. And they all jumped in, and we, it was a good session. But first thing I had to do is crack the egg on their mindset, because they really did have a dysfunctional mindset when it comes to.
Right. Yeah, she never even thought of, because I was giving her ideas, you need to let your community know that you exist and the value of what you have. Why don't you host an event, host something that celebrates them, and a client appreciation event. And then
Have some free legal wisdom,
Mhm.
not advice, not free counseling, but free legal wisdom that's part of that experience. So someone comes to a lawyer's event and they get the 5 greatest misconceptions about legal contracts.
Uh-huh.
They get the 3 greatest money traps in signing long-term agreements. Or, I don't know, I'm making this up.
Yeah, I like them though.
Those kind of
Good
things.
suggestions.
But it's known wisdom among lawyers. That's free advice as far as they're concerned, that no need to pay me for that. I would have put that on a billboard. Well, put it in a booklet or a handout or a PDF document.
Right.
Let that lead to answer the following questions. So the back page of it has like 12 questions that say, assess, I'm making it up again, assess your legal vulnerability.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a will written or revised in the last 5 years? Do you have da, 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 da? And then just list the things that this attorney's firm could help people with and have them self-assess whether they've got them.
I like that.
If you need assistance or guidance with any of these, we'll be happy to give you a phone call of free advice.
Mhm.
Call this number, book this, whatever.
Yeah, that's great.
go.
Yeah, so I'm hoping she'll go for a 90-day program. I'm saying, hey, okay, exactly 90 days for your September launch, and this is what needs to happen. So I gave her a whole list of things. And I said, if you feel overwhelmed with this is what I can do to help you.
Cool.
So,
Well, tell
yeah.
her, put you on her launch team and make that the way you do the contract. So then she thinks of you as part of the family.
Oh,
and
okay.
No longer an outside contractor.
Okay, that might be
Yeah,
good.
Put me on your launch team.
And then the other thing is, I'd love to work with her, and along the way I can form this course that I want to do. So with her feedback, I'm going to put together this course and then hopefully sell it online. And then also it's going to be ushering people into the database or the business directory. And I'm going to have a marketplace that has the catch-all, but then also an exclusive list of the experts that have gone through the program and that share common values. And so then I've been looking more into these membership kind of businesses, and actually there's one that, since you guys are more ahead, having all your courses and years of content, there's a company called Searchy.io. It's called Wisdom AI, and it uses your content so that rather than the what is it, the other, the IE
or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
the GPT, what do you call that? GPT?
Chat GPT.
Chat GPT is very valuable, but you don't know
Antennas.
where they're not pulling them, where they're
GPT.
pulling the information. But this is an additional thing for you to use as a tool to collect your information. And so anyway, I'll
You're
leave.
saying searchy?
Yeah,
Are you
leave that.
searchy.
Yeah, I'll write that down because I think it's a really powerful
Yeah,
tool.
that's Stu McClellan's
Yeah,
idea.
you know
He's the guy
him?
behind Michael Hyatt and those guys. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
He's
good.
great. He is
Yes, he is.
super sharp. And
Yeah.
it is basically it records everything you have and archives it. And you can go through and Jim, you were thinking, okay, 4 weeks ago, I was in a meeting, I spoke about da 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 da. And you put in this little phrase and it searches through your archive of stuff and finds it, pulls it out. It's
Cool.
really sharp.
Yeah.
But Stu's a great guy.
Yeah. Family man. He's a
But-
family.
Yeah.
Wait,
And extremely
Sandy,
extremely successful.
please put it here on our Experts Academy. You know, just write something.
Oh, okay. I put it in the chat, but I'll put it
Yeah.
in the,
So
okay.
we need to use that more effectively, I think. By the way, did you see this?
no.
Yes.
That was nice.
Thank you.
Is
Thank
that a
you.
real photo of it?
Yeah, it's a real photo.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
yeah. So, you know, can you see my camera?
That's
We're
very-
on screen share still.
Here we go. Yeah, but look at
That's-
the little boxes. of
That
the-
looks large. How many inches? Like 5 inches or?
I'll show you in just a second. Let me unscreen share. Okay, right here. That's
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's typical medallion size, you know, like for NSA or
Nice.
those others. And I put a description into our Facebook page about what I've got in mind. I'm looking at late October, early November to do the Experts Academy Summit in La Jolla, California, at the La Jolla Shores Resort that used to be called the Sea Lodge Hotels right on the beach.
right.
My office used to be 1 block away from that. Wow, what a place to live. And I've got a rather robust agenda in mind for savoring all of the best pieces of San Diego while we're there and bringing in my California-based and Arizona-based and Utah-based colleagues to be a part of the mix. So I'm planning for a pretty big, pretty exciting summit that'll be coming
Cool.
up for those enrolled, and that's going to be great.
Coming up fast.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Robin, we're over to you for now. Let's focus on what we can do to help you in the best ways.
Thank you. I want to follow up on what you were talking about last week. You were telling us a story about you getting involved so much deep with the banking industry, starting off with one program, personal development. Can you expand on that for me? Because I'm in trying to determine the actual program that I'm going to focus on. I've actually vacillated a little bit again, Jim, going back to the everyday rock star versus rock your customer experience, because I'm thinking more and more, if I go deep into my heart of what I really want to do again is go back and use my experience over the years with all the rock stars that I interviewed on my television shows and all the things that I did, and those principles of success, applying that to the everyday person that can be involved in any industry, not just sales, not just customer experience. I remember when at the mastermind group, there were several of y'all that I mentioned when I told about what I was doing, and it had the idea, some of that was sales. And they said, well, the message would be great for my healthcare nursing and people that are not involved in sales, but the everyday rock stars, about be the one people want to work with, trust and tell others about, and use those same principles that are in my heart, deep in my heart, versus the pragmatic side of going out and teaching the hard elements of sales and customer experience. So, which is then goes back to personal development. So if you can just expand on how that spread so quickly, what was your methodology in doing that? And what was the overarching message that you were actually talking to these bankers that resonated so well?
Sure. By the way, see this business card?
Yes, Chris?
Texas Bankers Association.
Yes.
That's the president of it. His name is Chris Furlow, president and CEO. Well, I was at my book launch, June 1st at Barnes & Noble. Michael Butler sent 2 people over. One was Daniel Gomez, who has a podcast and a big following, and he's in San Antonio. And I was on his podcast day before yesterday. And he said, hey, that went so well. I would like you to be part of my big summit in San Antonio in September. Can you do it?
Nice.
And so we talked about details, and I'm going to do it. And the other one was a guy named Roy Snarr, S-N-A-R-R. And Roy he's a financial services professional, focuses on long-term care insurance, young guy, and very successful, top of the table, $1 million round table guy. And I went downtown Austin to be on his live podcast in a brand new studio on a vacant office floor of the 8th floor of a building. And looking out behind me as I was being interviewed, you're looking literally at the state capitol of Texas, 1/2 of 1 block away.
Nice.
It's like a drone hovering in front of the Capitol. And that was my background. It was real, not virtual. And so he's sitting there interviewing me, and it went really, really well. Well, when I arrived for that interview, it was at the Texas Bankers Association building in downtown Austin, which is a new building they just occupied, and many of the floors are empty and undeveloped. But 5th floor is their main floor, and I'm sitting there waiting for Roy to arrive because I showed up early. And a guy walked by me and he said, do you want some coffee or something? Are the people taking care of you? I said, yeah, I'm waiting to be on a podcast. Oh, okay. Well, would you like something? I said, no, I'm good. He said, okay. I said, I'm Jim Cathcart. He said, well, I'm Chris. I'm the president of the Texas Bankers Association. I said, I'm a former member of the executive faculty of the American Bankers Association, 6 years. And before that, a consultant and trainer for the Oklahoma bankers. And I've spoken for bankers nationwide. He said, really, what do you do? And I said, I'm a mentor to experts and entrepreneurs. And I work with bankers primarily in the community bankers division and work on human skills. And he said, do you have a card? I said, better than that, I've got a copy of my latest book. And he came out a few minutes later and he said, well, here, you shouldn't leave here without a few, what he didn't call them bling, but basically, you know, a beautiful crystal paperweight, a hat with Texas Bankers on it and things like that. So I will be following that up. First will be to write an article for their magazine. And then it will be to remind him, you know, that I'm a speaker and all that, and to send him a video.
And you got a good little buddy that'll be another speaker.
Yes, I do. And I can put together the musical entertainment for their event as well.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, that's, you know, that was just organic. It just popped out of the blue. But I had my aperture open to see opportunities like that. When I started in Oklahoma, I told a woman, Mary Nixon, that I was available when she asked, do you do time management seminars for others? And I had been teaching for $15 a night. No, a month, $15 a month. I was teaching 2 or 3 classes at the Tulsa Junior College. Yeah. And she was one of the attendees. It was on time management, just basic fundamentals. And I was in my 20s. And she said, could you do that for the women's division of the Oklahoma Bankers? Yes, I did. And she said, that went well. Would you do another one for the young executives? Yes. And that went well. She said, well, the people in our marketing department, and, you know, so I wrote an article and then I said, why don't we make it a regular column? And so I kept appearing more and more. Well, I think you could do that with Everyday Rockstar. And I think you could take one of your rock stars as an example and pull a piece, an idea, a quote. You know how I did all those quotes for the book? So I've got the picture of the person and their quote and then my book. Well, do that for your Everyday Rockstar. And so you got Kevin Cronin, you got whoever else, you know, and their quote that you want to highlight, or their idea. It doesn't have to be a quote, but an idea you got from them, like a picture of Eric Clapton, and it says something about the kind of mastery that makes him popular, right? And then you show Tim McGraw and the same kind of an observation, and become an everyday rock star, where you are. And
I like that.
and then start using the language and get them to use the language. Like when you're talking with somebody, say, tell me about your current gig. What do you mean?
I do that kind of anyway, but yeah.
What's your role and what's your company today? Oh, well, I'm the marketing director for the Texas Bankers. Oh, okay. Well, one of the things that I found about rock stars is they never think about being employed as a complete answer. They think about it as a stage in their career. And so that's your current gig. And it might be that CEO of the Texas Bankers is your next gig, or maybe president of the American Bankers Association is a future gig, or who knows, you may end up starting a bank with a couple of colleagues and, change it all together. But wherever you go, you got to be the rock star. You got to be the one that brings energy to the room. You got to be the one that sees to it that everything else works. And a quick example, Robin, I was for 5 years on the board of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Conejo Valley, Rabbit Valley in California, which is Thousand Oaks, Agora Hills, Westlake Village, Newbury Park. That's where I lived. And we formed a Boys and Girls Clubs organization there, had no clubs. So we went out and raised funds and we built 5 clubs. Now it's 12 clubs. And now then over 100,000 kids have gone through all these clubs over the time since 2002 when I first got involved with it. And so 5 years I was on their board, and I kept upgrading my role by request. They would say, Jim, since you're doing this, would you serve on this committee? Would you be on the board? Would you serve on the executive committee? Well, I did, but I found I was devoting 52 days a year to non-paid work. Hello, that's expensive. So I said, guys, I got to back off. And they said, well, okay, but stay on the board. Okay. So I'd go to the board meetings, and the board meetings sucked.
Oh, you told us this. Yeah.
Oh, they were
And
bad.
they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was the rock star, everyday rock star. I would come in, show up early. I would adjust the signage so everybody'd see it.
Set up the seats, everything. Yeah.
And I didn't have to, but I did. And then when people would come in, I'd say, we're on page 3, and then things went on. And they said, well, please run the meeting. No, you guys learn. I'll teach you. But if you're not willing to do it, I'm out of here. So I left.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. Still believe in the cause, just not willing to endure the pain. But that's what you're teaching people, is to be the one who brightens the room. You're what's an everyday rock star, Robin? It's the person in charge of lighting. What? Person in charge of lighting. Yeah. When you come into a room, the room ought to lighten up.
There you go. I use that analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be the one that turns the light on versus turn the light off.
Yeah. And the person in charge, you're the gaffer. You're the person in charge of the electrical connections. You bring energy to the room.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yep.
So let me ask you this.
Energy.
Messaging, I'm good with messaging. The practicality of getting the gigs. Were you doing association meetings, chapter meetings, or were you being invited into the bank for a lunch and learn type of event?
Oh,
what was the stair stepping of that growth?
Started doing some association gigs, and then banks started inviting me
To come into their company and do a team meeting?
Yeah, so I would drive to Sapulpa or Sallisaw or someplace like that, or Mustang, Oklahoma, and do a planning retreat of 2 days with the leadership team of the bank, or do a marketing seminar in Enid or Eric or some remote location like that. And I went all over Oklahoma doing individual banks, but it was driven by my appearances for my regular fee at the association events. So the more association meetings you can get, and there are plenty of associations that are based in Austin, most of them in Austin, and in San Antonio, tons of associations. So just choose the ones you feel some affinity with and call on them.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I want. I'll follow up with you later about that. But yeah, I just want to
Okay.
get that clarity.
I
Because
know.
right now, what I've been spending the last week or so on back and forth is, with those two different ideas. And I'm a big believer in the customer experience program as well. I've got 3 of them already written and done. And I've been doing the customer experience quite some time, since like 2018, mostly to real estate companies.
Yeah.
But when, I stepped away and
By
did
the
COVID
way,
and all
the
that other
name
stuff.
of it is the Everyday Rockstar Customer Experience Program.
Well, I don't know that I want to go into that deep with it, because what I started, again, back to Chat GPT and narrowing my focus, trying to determine what's the most bookable to a broadest audience, which I've never ever been niched with. When I was doing the music thing with the Rockstar Principles of Success, as you know, it was opening keynotes, it was the big entertainment
Let me
part.
stop you prematurely here.
Yes.
Everyday Rockstar is you. Everyday Rockstar. You live it, have lived it, know the people from whom the lessons were gleaned, and you can impart it to others. Why would someone want it? So that they would have people like Grandma at McDonald's in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1975 on their team. Who's Grandma? She was the everyday rock star at McDonald's. My customer service experience there was so good once that I came back for 5 consecutive years and brought friends.
Yeah.
And have been telling the story for 40 years.
I actually was going through some of my other videos, and I told you I used that video when I was speaking at Southwest Research Institute for all those scientists who have to give presentations,
Yeah.
how to deliver a rockstar presentation. And I used that clip from, I forgot his name, from Toastmasters, and then your clip with Grandma.
Yeah.
And I watched that again, and I swear I've seen it 30, 40 times, and I love it. I just love it. And I was going to talk to you about it, actually showing your clip of that as an example of, she definitely was the everyday rock star. She definitely delivered a rock star customer experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, don't get known as the customer experience guy. Get known as the rock star guy.
Yeah.
Again,
Because
the
message points that I deliver in Everyday Rockstar completely are about customer experience and employee experience. And if you are going to be the one that people want to work with, they want to trust, they want to team with, they want to like, they want to hang out with, they want to buy from, they want to tell others about, dude, who wouldn't want to have that?
Right.
So,
That's
but I'm
what
trying
I'm
to
about.
narrow down to an industry that I can, instead of being scattered right now, is there 2 or 3 or 4 industries that I want to really rifle into them and try to knock on those doors?
Number 1, the music industry. Number 2, the events, the meetings industry. So that's MPI, that's all kinds of events companies, that's every kind of facility. It's the IAEM is what they used to call it, the International Association of Exposition Managers and event managers, things like that. The Convention and Visitors Bureau, certainly. I mean, that's a natural for you. As a matter of fact, I just met I went to Omni Barton Creek Resort here in Austin Sunday, and met Connie Fife, who's a Speakers Bureau talent concierge owner. She invited me over, and I went there, and the meeting was called Smart Meetings Conference, and Smart Meetings is a magazine. And Smart Meetings magazine makes its money from resorts advertising in their magazine. And so they go to the resorts that advertise for them, and they get discounted rates, I'm sure. But they bring in big time speakers. They had Brene Brown and people like that. And so I went over and schmoozed with them a little bit. And when I was talking with them, they said, "So what do you do?" And I told them, and they said, "Oh my God, do you have a card? Give me yours." So I know I'm following through. I don't know whether they will, but so, yeah, Conviz. And I met the guy who's in charge of the Convention Visitors Bureau for Durham, North Carolina. Did you ever see the movie Bull Durham?
Oh, sure.
Kevin Costner and Susan Sarandon.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
That's based on the Durham Bulls baseball team, minor
Yep.
league baseball team in Durham, North Carolina, which is
Yeah.
near High Point and Nito Cobain and all that.
I've
And
got
I've
friends
been
that live in Durham. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm now connected with the director of Conviz in Durham, and I can follow through and, build from there. That's what I suggest you do. Number one is get 5 contacts at the San Antonio Convention Visitors Bureau, and
Okay.
then meeting professionals international and so forth.
Okay.
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 All right.
Sounds good. Thanks you. Thank you,
Janelle,
man.
any comments? You've been silent for a while because we've been focusing on the others. Any closing comments as we wrap up here?
Just really soaking it in. Good conversations today. Thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Well, I wish we'd been able to pull in Michelle earlier, but I know she's got a ton going on. And so, Michelle, thanks for tuning in, and all of you. Appreciate you being here today. Please send me anyone you think ought to be in this, because I'm looking to enroll people now to get it built up as we go toward that big event in the fall.
Okay.
San Diego. See ya.
Bye, y'all.